In this video, we are looking at the Team Associated DC10, and we're looking at a little bit more movement and freedom here in the front of this vehicle. We're going to be doing that with these HD ball studs from Team Associated. Shout out to the folks on the Team Associated DC10 Facebook group for actually finding this and sharing it with everybody. And so I'm looking forward to doing this quick and easy mod. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is Roadside RC. You'll tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. When I was first building this Team Associated DC10, one of the things I noticed was it didn't appear that any of the suspension, actually, front or rear suspension, actually has a lot of movement in it. And I even looked at the front suspension and I said, well, I guess the shock is just that short, because I'm not getting much downplay. Like much, you know, the front only goes up so far, lifts up, or the wheel goes down. It only goes so far, and you know, I didn't see anything like the control arm hitting the chassis or anything like that. And I was like, well, it must just be the length of the shock. But that's not true. Super smart folks started to notice that right in here, these ball studs are a very thick shaft ball stud, and that the ball cups actually hit here, and I think it's potentially even happening in the steering turnbuckle as well. And that this part number from Team Associated 91451 actually helps solve that issue by having a thinner shaft on it. And so what we're going to do is swap over the 3 ball studs that are on this one side, see if we even really need to do the turnbuckle one or not, the steering one or not. I'm not too sure if we do, but at least the uppers and lowers here, and see just how much of a difference it makes. And this is where a set of shock pliers really comes in handy. You can come in here and pop those ball studs out very easily. And right back in there. There should be no reason for there to be any kind of difference to the geometry. You shouldn't have to space anymore. I just grabbed 2 spare turnbuckle ends, ball cups here out of my tool bag, and then I'm able to show, look at that angle difference. So the top one is the factory ball studs that come in this kit. The bottom is these ones that we're putting in here now. That is a huge difference in freedom of movement that is allowed. Both of those are moved absolutely to the maximum, as far over as they can go. And that's how much difference that is. That's huge. At this point on this side, I have done it to just this top and bottom arm. And there's a difference there. There is definitely a difference there of total movement. And trying to put some kind of a number to this, because I'm that kind of a dork, I have a 150 millimeter ruler here, and that on this side is basically right at that 150. If I come over here, we're at 145-ish or so. So we've gained about 5 millimeters of suspension movement. Now, what I noticed is on the steering turnbuckle here, if we move it over, this inside turnbuckle is actually already a thin shoulder one. The inside's a thin shoulder one. This outside is still a fat one. So I think we have enough in this kit. I'm going to go ahead and swap that one out too, just to see if it makes any more difference. Now, that's even more. So this side, again, about 150. This side's now down to like 137 maybe? Something along those lines. So it gave us even a few more millimeters. I actually thought something was loose at first because it dangled so far down. I was surprised. The other thing that I think is interesting is it now feels softer as well, too. It's like maybe these ball cups bound up just slightly. And now they're not. This is a win-win. Fast forward, and now it's done on both sides. Look at that. That is absolutely great. I am loving it. And fortunately, there's still 4 more in the package, and I'm wondering if this is the same on the rear here. This rear upper, am I losing rear downward travel that can be used for tuning because of that on the rear? Now, the upper rear is sideways, so that's not going to matter. But this side on the outside, I'm going to swap them out and see what the difference is. Make sure you watch if you have that little spacer on this one. Rear ones are installed, and I don't see any difference here at all. This side has one installed, this side does not. If I measure here to that pin, I've got about 145, 146. Over here, basically the same. So that is not a limiter on the rear, and word of warning, the rears are actually a longer threaded portion in the ball stud to help make up for that little spacer that's in there. So if you do this, one, there's not really a reason to do it. Two, be very careful because you are losing threads that screw in there. I'll be danged. I swear to you, it feels like it moves easier now. But the other thing that's interesting about it is I just increased ride height at the front here. My chassis was pretty level before, and now I'm definitely sitting a few millimeters higher up here in the front. Looking at this now, this is 100% how this car should have come from the factory. If anybody from Team Associated is watching, which I know nobody is, but if you are happening to watch this, just make a spec change if you would, and just all the new kits that come, would you just make sure that these ball studs come in the front? I think it'd make people a lot happier. I do believe that this is probably the #1 recommendation for someone who owns a DC10 is to now do this swap. It costs almost nothing. The ball studs are not expensive at all, and I believe it really frees up the front suspension. It's probably gonna make a big difference with how this car drives. I am gonna get to working on some other stuff for this car. If you are curious about any of the other stuff that I have done to this car so far, there will be a playlist popping up over here to your right with everything related to the DC10 that I have done. I hope one of those videos is useful for you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the video comments, and I'll be trying to answer as many of those as I can. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.